here with another episode of Minecraft. Here on the FlutterCraft server, we're going to be doing a little bit of FTB today. Oh yeah. So, got a computer on my head because we're getting technical today. Oh yes. So, what we're going to be doing today, first of all, I decided that we need, more power for the base. There, the two solars. Right, they're good for beginning power, but yet we need some major power here. So, in terms of big power, I went big reactors. So, there it is, in all of its glory. I'll run through all the pieces and parts there and set up for one there, but yet, this one puts out almost 2,000 RFT, which, it's a decent amount of power there. Grant, the size is kind of daunting, but, big power comes with big size. So, what you have there for the basis of it, we'll head over into the Big Reactors mod. You have reactor casing, which is the main, the bulk amount of what you're going to be creating a big reactor with is reactor casing. Reactor casing, iron, yellorium, which you can find there by mining, and graphite. Now, graphite there, you just take, charcoal or coal, and then you smelt it. And put it in the redstone furnace. Graphite dust, we'll give you it there as well. Basically, just buy anything coal or charcoal will make a graphite bar. And that recipe right there will give you 4 reactor casings. Now, along with that, you'll also need a yellorium fuel rod, which, you know what? Before we start getting into it here, we'll pop back up here. Let's see, I do believe it's this one. We'll break out a few here. As you can see right in there, we have yellorium fuel rod. That's where the yellorium fuel gets stored and converted over to power. Go ahead, we'll put that back there. We also have a reactor control rod, which controls how much fuel is burned at one time. Which the fuel rod has about the same type of crafting recipe as the reactor casing, only just a little bit different, more iron. The reactor control rod, which uses graphite bars and yellorium, also uses reactor casing. Once you get past the casing and the fuel rod, you'll notice that most of the extra crafting that goes into making a big reactor uses the reactor casing as part of the crafting. So along with that, you'll have a controller, which is basically the computer or the brains of the whole matter. Which, reactor casing, yellorium, a diamond, and a piece of redstone. You'll have your reactor power tap, which is where you get the power out of said reactor. Once again there, casing and then redstone. And then you'll have access ports. Now we'll go back down here. I'll show you the setup there, how I have it. Now, as you can see there, I have one side dedicated to both the power tap And I ran a little bit just to see exactly how much RF particulate would actually produce. So I haven't ran for very long, just not to see exactly how much. As you can see, I have two reactor access ports. One's yellow and one's blue. Now, what the actions that these perform is you have to have a way to get fuel in, and you have to have a way to get the waste out. Which this isn't a type of system where you just put the fuel in and then there's it just uses it and then that's it. There's a little bit more involvement with it. It does have waste. So right here, with the yellow arrows pointing in, is where the fuel goes in, which it does have a GUI interface. So you have ejectol fuel, ejectol waste, which if you're planning on making things bigger, you can pull out the fuel, you can pull out the waste, and then you can collect that and then break the whole thing down to where you can make a bigger one. They also have these two, which is a toggleable input mode and output mode, which this one's set to output. As you can see, there's nothing in there right now, but once a ingot of waste is produced, that's where it will show up. It will show up over here. And I'll show you the and also, if you notice there, if I won't break this one right here. If you don't have everything installed, this is what it looks like. But once you have all the pieces and parts installed, it will make a multi-block structure like this. And now once we get to the brains of the operation there, the controller, as you can see, it shows how much fuel you have in the fuel rod, your casing heat, your core heat, and then your energy buffer. Now the casing heat and the core heat will pertain to how much RF is produced per what you're using for cooling. Now a basic reactor, which is a 3x3x3, which is the smallest that you can make, it will have a high case and core heat since there's nothing to actually cool off the casing and the fuel. Actually, the fuel rod itself. But as you've seen there, while I popped this open there, I had resin ender there in liquid form for the cooling. Now, resin ender and gelid cryothium are the two main versions of liquid cooling that you use for this type of setup. And they call this a passively cooled reactor. There are actively cooled ones which uses a turbine. I never really get into that. There's a little bit more complicated than what I want to actually deal with. But there are plenty of tutorials out there that will show you how that works. Now, along with the interface, you have the actual temperature of the reactor itself, the amount of RF being produced, the fuel reactivity, which that pertains to how fuel rods interact with each other when you have a multiple setup. Which there are also calculators out there on the interwebs that you can actually full on make before you actually make in a game a reactor, and it will actually show you just about all this right here. It will show you an active form to where you can better plan your reactor. Now that's also dependent on what mod pack you're using. like well, I did uh, well, I did all my stuff for mod sauce too. That was Big Reactors in its basic form. Now it's actually changed in different mod packs, like the older versions of Direwolf 20. Um, the fuel burn off rate is changed per how much RF you get out of it. And that's also changed in here as well. Now I forget there what percentage it is. I think it's like 8% there, more fuel burn off per what you get for RF per tick. But you know that's been quite a while since I actually full on calculated that. So you know my numbers there and my brain might be wrong in that. But you know I'll let you guys know. But anyway, you know we'll go ahead and we'll fire it up here. You know real quick, and I'll show you the actual interface as a whole. So as you can see there, the fuel portion will turn blue there as that will use portions there of the fuel. As you can see, it actually dumped out 1 ingot's worth, so there'll be 1 ingot right there, just like that. And also we have our case and core heat, which the core heat, if it gets too high there, it actually burn off a lot of fuel without producing that much RF a tick. But since I actually had this thing actually cooled, actually it's cooled just a little bit too much there. That's the reason why my reactivity is just at 100%. But multiple cooled versions will usually have a reactivity about 300 to 400%. That usually means there that you're getting the maximum amount of RF a tick per setup. So you know, we go ahead and we'll turn that off for right now. You know, it doesn't need to be running all the time. Now, the only issue with that is that we need a way to store all this RF a tick. You know, having it in there, you know, is just fine there, but I want a way to store it. Hey, you know, we have these little bitty hardened energy cells, which, you know, are okay. But there are versions of the energy cell that can hold a lot more and that can transfer a lot more. So that's what I'm going to get into here right quick. You know, I already have everything in the old inventory there to do it. We'll head on down to thermal expansion. And we're going to be setting up 2 resonant energy cells. Which, you know, just like just about everything else, it is a tiered crafting system there, you know, more or less. And we've already seen how this is made there from working with simply jetpacks. You know, this portion right here was used in making of uh, the flexed jet plate there, which is what I have on right now. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at this there. And, you know, we have to fill the cell frame with destabilized redstone, and we need to make the cell frame first, which, you know, that's the crafting recipe for it there. You know, we've seen this before. So, you know, we'll go ahead and we'll make 2 of those, and that's 4 buckets per. And it just so happens there that I have 8 buckets worth of destabilized redstone. We'll go ahead and we'll toggle this to where it pulls it all out. Alright, there we go, just like that. and then we'll put the cell frames in, toggle it to fill. Now, it's all, with the water bucket there, I was also down in the mines there, gathering me up some obsidian, so then I can make up the hardened glass, because the hardened glass there, actually, let's see now, it takes pulverized obsidian and lead to make up the hardened glass, which it's 4 and 1. Go ahead, we'll make 2 more pieces there. We don't need it there yet. You know, 4 and then 1 in the induction smelter will make 2 hardened glass. Which, hardened glass is one of those nice things to have on hand. There's our redstone energy cell frames that are filled. And we'll go ahead and we'll make up the redstone energy cells. Forgot about the conductance coils. And I'm actually a little bit low on the electrum. Need 2 more ingots worth. Alright, there we go. And we'll make up 2 of those. And to make these into resonant, all we need is just the energy cell itself plus 4 Enderium. Or we can do it with a little bit more involved crafting, which would mean, basically the same thing, only you're using the energy cell frame instead of just using the full-on energy cell itself. So basically you're doing just about the same type of crafting. Go ahead, we'll pop one of those in there. We'll go with 4 right there. And then we go with another 4 right there. Then there we go, we have our resonant energy cells. And we'll go ahead and we'll pop down, Go ahead and we'll pop down here. And let's see now, we'll go ahead, we'll stack these one on top of each other. We'll go ahead and we'll configure it there to where that one dumps out, that one dumps in. So it should actually fill up the top one first once I hook this all up. Now I do have some redstone flux duct, which is perfectly fine for the amount of power that we're producing. If we hold shift there, we can see that actually transfers 8,000 RF a tick. Since we're producing just about 2, the redstone is more than capable of producing or transferring our power needs. Go ahead, we'll pop these down just like that. And there you go. As you can see there, dump in the top one there. Now once the top one gets full, it will actually start filling up the bottom one there as well. And we'll go ahead and we'll activate her here. Allow these energy cells there to get all nice and full. As you can see there, that's 80 million RF there with a maximum transfer rate of 32,000 RF a tick. So that should do it for us there for a little while. At least for a little while anyway. As you can see there, that one is basically trickling down to a point to where it will just stabilize at a certain amount, because it's actually dumping from here to here, and then when this one gets full, this one will fill up there as well, and then we just take the output from the top one, and then the bottom will keep the top filled, and then the reactor will keep the bottom filled. So yeah. Also there, if we decide to make more resonant energy cells, we can actually stack them on top of each other there, and then, just as long as we had them set up correctly, they will actually tier on themselves to where we have basically a nice, decently sized power bank. So, it's a good thing. As you can see there, the RF does dip a little bit between about 1.8 and 1.9 thousand, almost to the 1800 RF a tick there. You notice that it drops. The only reason why it's dropping is because when the fuel, starts making waste, the amount of waste that's there actually cuts down the amount of RF that's produced. And then when one ingot's made, it dumps it out, and then it pops the RF back up to where it's supposed to be. Yeah. Oh, looky there, we've got to the first. Well, we're past the first line. We're working on the second. Which is a good thing. So now, along with that, there, I also made the mention there in the last video that I was going to be getting into a little bit of AE today, which we do have. Yes, we do have the stuff and things there to make that happen. I know some people there don't really like tech all that quick there in the series, but that's one thing that's nice about having a pack like this. We can get into a little bit of tech early, and then we can get into a lot of tech later. So, this, I consider this early to mid-level tech right here. Along with AE there as well, because, I'm not going to go crazy with it right now. I just want to use it just for storage. Because, chests are nice, especially the old iron chests. But, having all these chests around here just like that, eventually we'll get to a point to where the chest will actually start to cause client-side lag, which, is never a good thing. So, we'll dabble into applied energistics here just a little bit. We'll bring this up. Now, first thing that we're going to need we're going to need a few things. We're going to need, all these presses here. We're going to need a little bit of silicon there along with it. A few other things. So, let me get some stuff and things together. And once I get some stuff and things together, I'll bring you guys back, and we'll start dabbling into a little bit of applied energistics. So, be right back. Well, guys, once I start looking at it there, we're kind of at the end of the episode. So, I didn't want to start in with a whole bunch of, AE stuff and things there, and then have to cut it off, then bring it back there for another episode. So, next episode, we'll get into some, get into a little bit of AE. We'll get into a little bit of Ender Quarry action, and then after that, you know, right, living the spawn time is great, but I do believe there is time to build stuff. Yes, yes, we need to build some stuff. So, maybe do a little bit of a collabby bit there with old Chibble there. See if we can do an RF tools world for myself. That might be kind of fun there. Then get some building done. Because, this is Minecraft there. Besides the mining, besides the crafting, we got to build stuff. So, we'll get that up and going here within the next few episodes. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to smash down the old thumbs up button there if you liked the episode. And as always, well, wait a minute there. Make sure, sure to smash down the old thumbs up button. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe there. I like all my subscribers, each and every one of them. And as always, keep calm, running on.